Now, this old church was here in 952. 952. Over 1,000 years ago. And it's been here that long. Like 1,000 years. People were here. People buried here. We're standing on the walls of something that was built by hands over 1,000 years. You know, how many people have stood here and watched this same view? You have to wonder what it looked like then. There's one particular gravestone just over here which I'm interested in. And this one over here, because I was here a long time ago, and I remember this headstone still standing properly, but something's happened to it. This is the grave of Anne, and there was a Saint Anne here at one stage, and this is Saint Anne's graveyard. But I remember this when it had when it stood up here, and I'll see if I can find a photograph of that. Might be difficult to find it. I remember this with no growth, nothing here. Hello. 1846. Wife Judith died 13th of October 1855, aged 52 years. This monument is erected by the grateful and loving son. A peculiar smell just came into the air. Benjamin Coates Doyle, son of Joseph Tree. Big beast of a thing. What have you seen, old tree? How many tears have fallen underneath thee? In memory of their beloved son, John, who died 17th of December 1875, aged 22 years. Erected by Kevin and Anne Doyle of Ballinascorney, John, who died 17th of December 1875, aged 22 years. Also the above. Anne Doyle, who died 16th of March 1893, aged 79 years. Also the above named Kevin Doyle, who died 25th of April 1901, aged 85 years. It's quite bizarre. There's a bit of a story behind this. This is it looks like a place of baptism. It's quite a big thing. It looks small, but it's James Jones, 1800. Farrell, James Farrell. Foraging, the ancient practice of gathering wild plants and fungi for food, has enjoyed a modern revival. Fueled by sustainability trends, survivalists, and a desire to reconnect with nature, it's often portrayed as a wholesome, instinctual activity, drawing romantic parallels to our hunter-gatherer ancestors. However, this idealized image masks a very real danger that comes with eating wild edibles. Nature, while bountiful, is also brutally indifferent to human error. A single mistake can be irreversible and sometimes fatal. The greatest danger in foraging lies in the sheer complexity of plants and mushroom identification. Many poisonous species are clearly indistinguishable from their edible counterparts to the untrained eye. For example, Amanita phalloides, known as the death cap mushroom, is responsible for the majority of mushroom poisoning deaths worldwide. It closely resembles several edible species, including the Asian paddy straw mushroom. Consuming even a small amount can cause irreversible kidney and liver damage, often with delayed symptoms that don't manifest until it's too late. There's a well-known story about a guy called Christopher McCandless, and this may be the cautionary tale among many cautionary tales. Chris went out into the woods with a book and he was hoping to identify and eat things, and he survived quite well for quite a long time out in a bus. Many beautiful photographs of him foraging. But Chris died. He was a young man whose life story was dramatized into a film called Into the Wild. He died alone in the Alaskan wilderness in 1992, weakened by starvation and possibly poisoned by ingesting the seeds of a plant believed to be wild Eskimo potato. While the exact cause of death is debated, some researchers, including chemist Ronald Hamilton, propose that a neurotoxin found in the seeds may have paralyzed him, rendering him unable to gather more food or hike to safety. His fate underscores how even a modest botanical error made with survivalist intentions can become a deadly isolation. I'm saying all this because of, I don't know, it was something last night, something I watched last night. It was about wild cherries, and the leaves of wild cherries have many toxins that kill animals all the time, and the cherries themselves contain arsenic inside them. And it was something about that video and a few different videos that I just thought, you know what, is there enough about the other side of this, the other side of this story? You know, you don't want to end up in a place like this. Many foraging videos and books perpetuate the idea that once you know a few rules, you can safely harvest from the wild. For example, the myth that anything white and umbrella shaped is safe is exactly the kind of thing that leads to fatal encounters with Amanita verosa, the destroying angel. Equally problematic is the growing number of online influencers with little formal botanical knowledge, encouraging followers to forage based on broad generalizations or outdated folk wisdom. Nature is not curated content. It has no interest in confirming your confidence. And I think it's the words "I think." I recognize these words. When I hear the words, when I say "I think," I recognize them. You've got to know, you know, and a book may tell you all about wild cherries, as an example, but it won't tell you about the arsenic, you know? Or why doesn't it? The other thing to mention is bioaccumulation. So, even when plants are correctly identified, wild edibles can carry toxins absorbed from their environment. Fungi especially are known to bioaccumulate heavy metals, radiation and pollutants from the soil. Around Chernobyl, there's people who consume loads of stuff, you know, and it has this bioaccumulation inside it. Regular foragers in urban or industrial areas may unknowingly consume carcinogens, pesticides, or other contaminants that accumulate in their bodies over time. Unlike allergic reactions or spoiled food, the toxins in wild plants and fungi often work slowly. A person may feel fine for 12 to 24 hours after ingestion, only to suddenly experience vomiting, organ failure, hallucinations. This delay can lull victims into a false sense of security and delay life-saving treatment. In rural or remote areas, by the time symptoms appear, it's often too late for hospitals to intervene. And there are some stories of, even in California in the last 3 years, just some people turning up. Turning up dead in their tent. A Canadian man in 2008 died after mistaking water hemlock, one of the most toxic plants in North America, for an edible root. There's wild onions, and there's another one that goes with wild onions that looks like wild onions, another poisonous plant. In 2014, a group of hikers in California suffered severe poisoning after ingesting wild mushrooms. One woman required a liver transplant, while another developed permanent neurological damage. These cases are not rare. They just don't always make national headlines. And that's the thing I've found, even researching this topic, is, you know, it's pretty hard to find these stories, because it's quite an embarrassing thing, I guess, to admit that, you know, you touch something here, this piece of grass, and you don't know if a badger's peed on this, or a mouse has peed on this, or a snail has gone over this. There's a nettle. Let's make some nettle tea. You know? Let's take some pine needles to stop scurvy. The idea that something natural is inherently safe is a deeply ingrained and dangerous fallacy. Hemlock, oleander, foxglove, monk's hood are all natural and all highly toxic. In the woods, nature does not come with a warning label. In fact, many plants have evolved toxins precisely to deter consumption. To treat a forest like a health food store is to misunderstand the fundamental biology of the ecosystem. In conclusion, foraging can be a meaningful and rewarding activity, but it is not without its serious risks. Risks that are too often downplayed in popular media. The woods are not a buffet. They are a complex and indifferent environment where one small mistake can be deadly. Whether it's misidentifying a mushroom, just trusting incomplete advice online, or underestimating the body's delayed reaction to toxins. Foraging without knowledge, without knowing, is a gamble with high stakes. Respect for nature must go hand in hand with respect for its dangers, because nature won't forgive a mistake, and often neither will your body. There's some links that I'm going to put into this video of some of the things that people should be aware of with encouraging other people to forage. It is a very interesting thing to forage and to learn about nature. You know, we're always told Mother Nature, she'll look after you. But in my experience, all Mother Nature wants to do is put you right here, right in this spot. That's all she wants to do. She has no care in the world what way she does it.